The Tennessee-Alabama game where Nick went down. And what is more enjoyable, people, than seeing Nick go apeshit on the sidelines yelling at some kid after he had been on, any number of interviews where he tries to act like a human being and says, well, it's all about the kids. And then he Woody Hayes this guy. I mean, it was insane. I mean, he stopped just short of Bobby Knight, the kid, and strangling him, right there on the sidelines in the middle of a game. All that being said, now, people always made this equation, right, that penalties fall upon the responsibility of coaches. That it's not players that commit penalties, but if you have an inordinate number of penalties, an absurd number of penalties in a game, that it falls on the idea that maybe you're not coaching well. So then how would you ever justify Nick Saban's team getting penalized 17 times in a game against Tennessee? 17 times.
That's crazy.
Nick, what's going on there? Where's the discipline, Nicky boy?
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, one Mike Lubitz, and we're rolling towards the end of the month. I guess we still have one more day after the weekend, and that would be Halloween, which is taken on different connotations now. I want to embrace it, but it is a little bit. It's frightening, unfortunately, in a literal sense, with what's going on with the world gone mad and man's inhumanity to man. But let's hope everybody's safe out there, has a good time. Halloween on Monday. And then that's it. Whoosh, another month, number 10 of 2022, right out the window, man. We're getting very close to 2023. Mike Lubitz, will you allow me? Will you indulge me? Will you engage me in a couple of things that we have to probably get off our chest before we get into and dive into, and a deep dive into full-fledged degeneracy on a Degenerate Friday. And we'll have the usual cast of characters coming along. But just a couple of things. And now we were remiss yesterday. We owe an apology to Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel. Do you know why we'd be talking about Phil Kessel? Do you know who Phil Kessel is?
Bruins, right? I know he was on the Bruins. He was once a great hockey player on the Bruins. I don't know.
Las Vegas Knights now, Golden Knights.
Nice.
So, are they still the Golden Knights, or did they have to drop the name Golden because it offended some people that had jaundice or something? I don't know. Anyway, Kessel became the Iron Man, all-time Iron Man consecutive game streak to Cal Ripken, the Lou Gehrig of the NHL, the other night, a couple of nights ago, played in his 990th consecutive game. Think about that in hockey.
Hockey?
Yeah. 990 consecutive games played by Phil Kessel of the Las Vegas Knights as a hockey player, and appropriately, he also passed a milestone in that game by scoring his 400th goal. 400th career goal, 990 consecutive games. So what is that? He went essentially into 12 seasons straight without missing a game. That's insane, huh?
Hockey?
Wow. I mean, wow. I don't know how many teeth he has left. Probably one or two. That'd be about it. But Phil Kessel. So we have to congratulate Phil Kessel. Elon Musk, did he ever own radio stations? Did you see what happened yesterday with the Twitter takeover? Where you had everybody escorted out of the building. Like the entire building had an escort going out. I don't mean that kind of escort. I'm talking about a security escort. And that had to be borrowed from people that get canned in radio, where the most minor employee at a radio station is fired. Like they fire the cleaning lady. I don't know that she's the most minor because you like to see those bathrooms cleaned up, and people in radio in general are slobs. You would rather go to the bathroom at the Jamaica OTB. That still exists? I don't know. But I mean, of all the degenerate places that I've been in my lifetime, that had to be the scummiest and the most scary in terms of the people that were occupying the place of any, including the Dania Highlight simulcasting cellar when it first came into vogue, that they had simulcasting here in South Florida, and you'd see some real, just stone hardcore degenerates in the Dania Highlight simulcasting center. And in fact, I think Larry the Leaper was like the concierge there. And, yet it will never eclipse my experience at the Jamaica OTB, which I actually left and paid like another $50 to get in a cab and go to Aqueduct itself. I mean, how desperate am I? I'm in an OTB parlor, and I'm looking around going, wow. The sad truth is I'm one of these people. And But it was ridiculous. You couldn't see anything. I mean, they didn't even have any screens back then. Literally, everybody's looking up at a little speaker in the ceiling as the announcer is going, and that's so-and-so in front by 2, and here comes Zenyatta. And you're thinking, where's Zenyatta? Right? I mean, what fun is that to just listen to an audio call of a race while you have money riding on it? And then, I mean, imagine going screen to screen under those circumstances where you're betting every track, Lubie. And everybody's looking up at the ceiling as if you're going to see it better, because you're looking up at where the speaker is. That was an asylum. I mean, they could have locked everybody up and just given them treatment for the rest of their lives, and they still wouldn't have saved a single soul among that crowd on that. I guess it was like a Friday night, a Friday afternoon at the simulcast center in Jamaica, OTB in Jamaica. But that would be the seediest place I would think that I've ever been. This is ugly, though. I mean, what Musk did yesterday with this Twitter thing, I know he took it over, and probably Donnie Trump's going to take over and be the number one guy there on Twitter. Which, did you see the shots of Trump yesterday? His face is morphing into that of Mickey Rourke, like the current. Have you seen any recent pictures of Mickey Rourke where he doesn't even look human anymore? He's got these weird lips. I don't want to, get into a jackpot here and imply that it, is indicative of a certain ethnic group or race or anything. None of that is on the table.
No.
Mickey Rourke looks weird, man. The byproduct of collagen and Botox injections that obviously went haywire. And Trump's skin is starting to morph into looking a little bit like Tupperware, right? I mean, he's taken on a little bit of a Joan Rivers look. Did you see him yesterday out there touting how wonderful it is to have the Live Tour in the Saudis right here in South Florida being represented for their humanitarian efforts by putting $4 million into every golfer's pocket before they even tee up the first shot in each tournament? Now, does that count against the guarantee? Nobody knows yet. Nobody knows how underhanded these dealings may have been. Because, everybody read the headlines. Phil Mickelson, who hasn't done shit. I mean, since he's been on the Live Tour, I don't even know if he's broken par. But he got $200 million. But does that count against whatever it is that they earn on the tour? That would be the question. And nobody knows the answer to that, not even the Sheik. Doesn't know. It is weird seeing these post-Live Tour and pre-Live tournament press conferences. Sergio is kind of a smarmy character to me anyway, Sergio Garcia. But, he was hard-pressed to come up with anything other than, yeah, we took the money.
Well, good for him.
Appropriate, too, that as the Saudis are choking us by cutting oil production, we are embracing them at the Trump National Doral there because, they're doing such a wonderful job by, advancing the game of golf. They have a team competition inside the tournament. I know you're aware of that, but, I'm not exactly sure how it works. I haven't been able to figure it out. I've read various articles about it, and there was some chiding going back and forth about the team competition between Brooks Koepka, who doesn't come off as a great guy, really, and he's firing shots at Mickelson at this press conference because they're involved in a team competition. I don't even know if they're going head-to-head. But each member of the winning four-man team, each member in this tournament, think about this for a second. You don't have to win a tournament. You could finish last. If your team wins the tournament, each member of that winning team gets $4 million of the team, in addition to whatever prize money's out there for the individuals.
16 mil. Wait. So, okay, but
so you could be having like a lousy year and not win any tournaments, and maybe be mid-pack in every tournament. There are only 48 guys out there in the field, 3 rounds. So you could be playing really, subpar golf, and end up making like $20 million on this tour, in addition to whatever money they gave you to sign. Because obviously you weren't just going to say, "Hey, you know what I'm thinking about doing today? I'm going to quit the PGA Tour. No, there's no money involved, and go to the Live Tour." And live the rest of my life in semi-disgrace because, I sold my soul to the devil.
look, like we've talked about.
Are you going down there, by the way? I mean, you think there'll be any kind of crowd there?
There'll probably be a crowd, but it'll be the kind of crowd that I'm usually comfortable being around. We've talked about this a lot. Principles mean a lot to me, and I would want to say no, but if it's true and you actually get that money into your account at some point,
the money is so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
I can't be mad at these guys. Like, unless you're Phil and you should be worth hundreds of millions, you're just a massive degenerate.
Well, you're a golfer, and there's always been the debate whether or not. The idea, the old Barkley thing, we are not role models. Not every athlete is going to be a stellar example of how to live your life in terms of his own personal conduct and principles. So, I mean, if you're a golfer and your job is to play golf and somebody's offering you that kind of money to go play golf, I mean, you can easily detach yourself from the politics of it and the principles of it and just say, you know what, my job is to play golf, just paying the most money. People do that, and obviously a lot of these guys have. Whether it's a better tour, is it better conducted? I don't know. Is it more fun to play on? Obviously, it would be if you don't have to do shit. You only play 3 rounds 14 times a year, and you're going to make $120 million, which far eclipses anything that you could have made with tournament prize money and endorsements, even if you were the number one guy on tour.
Hey, I don't know if Tiger's making that much. Tiger may be the only person that ever approached money like that, like in golf. I mean,
to his credit, I mean, a lot of people would say that Tiger Woods wasn't exactly the most principled individual, in spite of the phony presentation that he was the greatest human being on the planet. That was put forth by Jim Nantz and CBS and Sports Illustrated and Golf Magazine and Golf Digest and Golf Channel and Tom Rinaldi and anybody else. I mean, he wasn't the nicest guy. Which it may be difficult to be a really good guy when you're in that kind of LeBron James, Tiger Woods type of spotlight. You got people hounding you all the time, right? I used to tell the story all the time. I was amazed, that one night that Dan Marino was a guest on the Jim Mandich Sunday Night Sports Wrap show. Nobody knew he was coming except Mandich, okay? And yet, when we got outside, and this was in a warehouse district, this was on Channel 33, and the station itself was, the studios were in a warehouse district in Miami Lakes somewhere. No way that you're like cruising around there, just arbitrarily go, hey, look, there's Dan Marino coming out of a television studio. And when we got out, the people were pressed to the gates. The Dolphins weren't even doing particularly well at the time. They were pressed to the gates, and I would say there had to be 1,000 people waiting for Dan Marino outside just to grab an autograph at 11 o'clock at night when he left the studios, because the show was like a live show from 10 to 11. So it was after 11 o'clock at night. They're standing out there in the dark. 1,000 people somehow caught wind. Obviously, they would be aware of it if they saw that he was on the show. But who would know when he was leaving? Who would know? I mean, we said it was live. That doesn't always mean that it is live, right? It could have been live to tape. It could have been any interpretation, extrapolation of the word live. And yet 1,000 people lined up just to get a glimpse of Marino coming out of his television studio. Now, that could be annoying in terms of an intrusion, an invasion of your privacy, no? Where you can't even walk to your car without 1,000 people. Hey, Danny. So, I mean, imagine what it's like being Tiger Woods or LeBron James. You literally can't do anything without somebody trying to, get a picture or, an autograph or hounding you or asking you questions or shouting things. It would get old after a while, right? Lubie, you want to go to the beach one day and just put your speaker on and zone out to music or whatever? You can do that. Nobody's going to bug you.
Yep.
Every now and then, somebody might be jogging by and going, hey, wait a minute. I know that voice. You're Mike Lubie Lewitz.
Yes, which happens, and it's nice. And then I'm like, they go on their way. I go on mine. That life, that would be so frustrating. I would hope I wouldn't. Look, you already make fun. I'm already bitter. So I don't even know what the hell I would do if I was swarmed by it.
Who knows? Who knows? It can't be so easy. It's not easy to be the nicest of guys under those circumstances. But yeah, I mean, that was a total, misrepresentation. And it's interesting. This gentleman that you have that we're lined up for the Believe podcast, the guy from ESPN. What's the guy's name again?
Wright Thompson. He's
Wright Thompson. Yeah.
Great.
I mean, he writes about that literally. He ends up talking about celebrities and how different it is, sports stars to get to that level of greatness, and then what is entailed. So I think that'll be the discussion on the Believe podcast today. Very interesting stuff that we brought it up anyway, Lubie, without even thinking about it. All right, and one political commentary, if you will. We'll get into our degenerate mode here on the show. Sorry, people. I apologize to everybody for this self-indulgent segment here to start the show. What exactly? I mean, you would think that Ron DeSantis from his television commercial, what has really changed of a monumental nature in the state of Florida besides we become more right-wing and bitter?
Well, my fun thing is they did that thing where you attach your name to the end of the commercial. What was it, 5-10 years ago? And it's supposed to make them now these are honest. They're all like literally. He did the whole one on education. He's educate. We're bottom 2 in everything.
Yeah.
Whether what we spend, what teachers make. What that type of education, to the point where he literally is coming up with these catchphrases that don't. Critical race theory is not a thing. Like, teachers don't teach race. Like, I don't know.
No.
Like kindergarten, the sexuality thing. whatever side.
All of his moves with regard to education have been a disgrace, in my opinion.
All of them.
Whether it's banning books or trying to tell people what they should think.
Money, it's been a disaster. And he has a whole commercial dedicated to, right, Chris took money away. What? Whatever Chris is, he's better than DeSantis on education. He wants it to be like...
It's unfortunate, that they keep digging up stiffs from the Democratic Party. I mean, this guy couldn't possibly win this race. Charlie Crist. But here's Ron DeSantis on the precipice of being charged with criminal activity and would be rightfully so for misappropriation of state funds to make a political grandstand move so that he can enhance his national image. This did nothing at all and had nothing to do with anybody in the state of Florida.
Yeah, they weren't
taking
here.
Migrants that are in Texas and then boarding them on a chartered plane for $650,000 of taxpayer money or whatever else. I mean, that's just a number they're throwing out there. I'm sure it's probably even more than that. And misappropriating taxpayer money that could have gone to something actually beneficial, like education, just to make a grandstand move so you can enhance your national image so you'll look more like the Trumpster in front of people. And with the Trumpster now being, considered more than damaged goods, although still being warmly embraced by many, DeSantis is a natural guy to gravitate, into that position. And you think it's going to happen. Of all the Republicans, he would be the next guy that looks like the, kind of guy they want representing their ideology.
Yes, interest, yeah, exactly.
But, how could you have no mention of that? What? I don't know if Charlie Crist hammered that in that debate, but, I mean, this is a guy that really legitimately needs to be brought up on criminal charges for the misappropriation of state funds.
Yeah, it was illegal what he did. Yep.
Just absolutely horrendous. Never mind the human rights, part of it, and the consideration that these are human beings. That's already. Let's just erase that from the equation.
The thing that's actually really bad.
He's going out of his way to ruin people's lives even further than they've already been ruined. Because you know what? If it was okay for them to be in their country, they would have stayed there. I'm sure.
Well, there were people that were doing it legally. Remember, that's the whole thing that gets lost in the shuffle. Just like these voters the other day, that they said, "Yeah, go vote. It's okay." They went and voted. Ha ha! You voted.
Yeah, another disgrace. Exactly.
Proof that they were told they could vote. They proof. That's my problem with these guys. At least with Nixon, before Water, the actual book, no one really knew what the hell he was doing.
And these are the things he's most proud of, or seems to be. That's when he cuts up there and goes, like meet Tarzan. You freaking Jane, man. Unbelievable. He should be swinging from a vine, this guy, literally. Incredible. All right. I didn't mean to imply that he was ape. I meant like that in the Tarzan reference. All right. That's it for politics. I had to sweat out. Brandon Lang was on our podcast yesterday, and that's still up there on Believe. And he's great. And he liked Washington State last night against Utah. I didn't even know the game was last night. But when I realized it, I'm thinking, wow, I believe literally, as in the podcast, that Lang is probably right about this game. That Washington State was going to give Utah a tough time. Now, sweating out the dynamics of how you have to cover a point spread makes a game, a zillion times more interesting than if you were just watching the game itself. You could kind of see that Utah was going to win the game, but were they going to cover the point spread? That was in question throughout the entire second half, but through the whole fourth quarter. And then you're watching the clock, and you're thinking, well, geez, they can run 3 minutes off here. What if they turn the ball over? They ended up giving up a field goal that turned out to be the spread covering points for Washington State in that game. You had to think it was going to be a tough spot, too, for Utah, because where is Washington State? That is out there in the boonies, isn't it? Not that Washington, the state itself, is not all boondocks, but they do have Seattle. Name another city in the state of Washington.
Tacoma. Tacoma's Washington.
Tacoma. There you go. Yeah, I don't know if they're anywhere near Tacoma. I really think this place is in the wilderness, Washington State University.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
Right. You're hearing jungle birds. Instead of like the usual sounds and sights that you would normally associate with a college football game. And they did cover the spread, Washington State. So Brandon Lang, 1 for 1. He liked 3 other dogs on that podcast, which I don't remember all of them. But he liked 3 other underdogs on the college slate. So he went with all dogs. He turned into Mark Lawrence, who's going to join us later on as well. All right, we do have the Greek. The Greek's going to join us. Is that...
I think. I reached out to him this morning. I haven't heard from him.
Okay.
So I'm hoping.
See what the Greek is up to. He'll have some selections for us. And then Mark Lawrence, playbooksports.com, will be with us as well. The professor with his college football plays, and also the big board, which should be interesting. Did J-Lo and Ben really break up already? Is that possible?
Shut up, really? Shut up. Didn't they
That's a
actually
rumor, yeah, that they're living
marry?
separately now.
They actually, unlike her last relationship where they never got to the marriage, didn't they get married? Wasn't that the whole difference this time?
They got engaged. They got married. A very not just one. They had a simple thing like I did in Las Vegas there at the Little Chapel of the Bells, and then they went and had an elaborate ceremony with all kinds of celebrities and big dignitaries coming in, and a big lavish affair at the Georgia Mansion, and I guess it's a farm. I don't know, a huge property that Ben Affleck has, and now supposedly Affleck has already flown the coop, and. J-Lo's trying to make him sign things like you don't know what to believe. I mean, it does seem kind of odd. I mean, imagine you'd have to sign some kind of document that says that you're going to have sex 4 times a week. Would you really have to sign something on that if you were infatuated with J-Lo? She's not necessarily my bag, but
she's
not that she's interested in me, but
but even then, like life happens both sides. Like when men or women expect like. Whatever. Then you don't understand a marriage. Like that's the thing. Like a marriage isn't like a business. Like you can't do stuff, and like it's
it's crazy, right?
That's
gonna sign a contract. I mean that's crazy. But anyway, supposedly, I mean that kind of all the entertainment stuff that kind of surprised me a little bit, right? I mean it was like 3 weeks ago they got married.
It didn't surprise me at all. It's just funny that they keep doing like she keeps doing these things and it doesn't work. Like you would think, like. Einstein said you would try something new. Do the same thing over and over again and expect to get a result. It makes 0 sense.
Are we going to find out, too, that Gisele Bündchen is sending in like $12 million a game 100%. Against the Buccaneers?
I thought you were joking when you said it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like
I believe she's at the bottom of this. Yeah.
She must be enjoying her. Enjoying the crap out of it.
How are the Bucs that bad, though? I mean, I'm looking out there. They got Julio Jones. He came back in the lineup, and this guy's like a scrub. I mean, he's not even in the starting lineup among wide receivers because they have Godwin and Mike Evans. This guy can't even get in the starting lineup. Julio Jones, who made demonstrations or gave indications that he was coming back to at least, a reasonable facsimile of himself when he, when he's his heyday with the Atlanta Falcons. Unbelievable. And, very, very useful. I mean, they have Fournette's not horrible, Leonard Fournette. I know he sort of like fell into disfavor, but he came back, sort of resurrected his career a little bit with the Buccaneers when they won the Super Bowl that year. I don't know. How could they be bad? They're averaging 18 points a game.
It's their offensive line. I mean, we talked about it going into the year. And what I didn't even consider, it's not only hurting Brady because Brady does not like getting hit, and Brady is not he's not elusive, so he can't avoid getting hit. But on top of that, the running game sucks. And that's the thing is Brady's always, if you think about it, with the Patriots, they always ran the ball decent. And with the Bucs, they ran the ball decent. Having a running game means they don't have to dedicate so much to the run. So now they can help in pass coverage. So now not only is he getting hit more, but guys aren't open. So like there's really nothing for them to do. The offensive line sucking has really ruined them.
All right. Well, I mean, we had made a premature evaluation. Maybe it's about time we reasserted our position there on Brady that he's finished.
Finally.
Shot finder. Nobody will concede that either. Everybody says the same thing. If I see one more pregame show, the Bucs are on a primetime game every week. Seems like they're either on Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, or Monday Night Football. And every week the panel says the same thing. It doesn't matter who is constructing this panel, what people comprise the panel. They have a bunch of different people on the Amazon thing. What they have?
5 Gonzalez.
Fitzpatrick is doing very well. Tony Gonzalez, Richard Sherman, and one other guy. The other guy was the lineman that retired from the Rams, and he'd been in the league forever.
That's Andrew
Whitworth. Yeah, that's Whitworth.
Oh my God!
That's who it is. Good job. But every one of them says the same thing, right? They turn and they go, "Hey, well, what do you think? What's your big take on the game?" Well, you know what? Tom Brady isn't finished, and he's going to show it tonight. Because as long as you have Tom Brady, you have a chance. And then you're looking, going, "My God, thank God the Dolphins got stopped on their, tampering deal where they wanted Brady to be their quarterback this year." Because I mean, that would not represent progress. I'm sorry.
Have you seen their offensive line?
Imagine that. Imagine Brady behind this offensive line.
Oh my God.
I mean, he still, can drop back and throw that 15-yard pass if nobody touches him. But I don't know, man. Tommy boy, I think Giselle was right. That was this is as ill-fated as Charlie Chris running for governor again. Unbelievable. It just doesn't look good. 3-5 now on the season. First 3-game losing streak.
Sending it in, like, you're not wrong. She's got to be going.
Giselle is sending it in, man. She's got some Brazilian bank that has an offshore wiring connection that they're just funneling money into her account here. Brady, first 3-game losing streak since 2002. That was the year he broke into the league. I don't remember him having a 3-game losing streak that year. He also became, but this, is just an attrition stat. He became the most sacked quarterback in NFL history.
Played 30 years.
Which doesn't mean that, yeah, right. I mean, he's been in the league for 30 years. Red Grange was in the league when he broke in. And he all ran in. All right, Le'Veon Bell thinking about making a comeback. So that would give him one more comeback than Roberto Duran. Le'Veon Bell thinking about coming back. And your man Shaq Barrett, who I have to say, I remember when you were all excited. You said, hey, that's Shaq Barrett. That's Shaq Barrett. We were at Radio Row, and you got him to come on a show, and they were jealous because the Tampa stations were trying to grab him. You did a great job there. And I have to say, I wasn't that familiar with Shaq Barrett, but then watching him play ever since then, you were like, wow, this guy's a monster, but it looks like he's going to be possibly out for the season with a torn Achilles.
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Those are the preliminary reports, so they're going to lose one of their he wasn't having a great season. I don't know if they were just running plays away from him or whatever, or double-teaming him on every play, but his statistical body of work was not the same as it has been in the past, but nonetheless, he was always going to be a feared presence, so that was pretty tough. All right, the week coming up here, we'll get into our degeneracy for the weekend. I'm in full-fledged degenerate mode, too, because I want to take advantage of some free play that I might be able to poach off the Mustang since she's working today. So that's the key. Get to the casino first, get her card, put it in a machine, and see how much is in her bank.
Nice.
I have nothing. It doesn't matter how much I gamble. I have no rewards coming. Because they don't give a shit about horse players at any of these casinos. Trust me. They make whatever minor percentage they do off your simulcasting action, and they really just provide that as kind of a public service, I think. I don't think they're really going to make money. But the slot players, my God.
Oh, wow.
Right? If I snap my fingers right now, there would be a limousine at this door from various casinos here in town just to pick up the Mustang. Slot players. With a voucher to eat at the fancy restaurant, right? You can get one of those $89 bone-in fillets. Well, whatever you want. It's on the house. Just come out here and lose your money. Which tells you what about how these machines are calibrated, Lubie?
It tells you a lot.
Probably not in favor of the fan. That's for sure. World Series starts tonight, too. We don't want to miss that. I know you're not a baseball fan anymore. I always find it interesting. I mean, it's going to be really interesting if the weather is lousy in Philadelphia. You have the Dome Stadium, the retractable dome there in Houston, and you have open air in Philadelphia. So if it's 12 degrees, they're playing ball.
Oh, jeez.
Nola and Verlander in game number 1 tonight.
Nice.
Nola and Verlander. So many people picking the Phillies. The Phillies are certainly the fan favorite in this, and the Cinderella story. All of a sudden, Bryce Harper is looked upon in a very favorable light, where he used to be despised. And everybody's rooting for the Philadelphia Phillies in this series.
You can hate the Astros all you want. You're dumb. I mean, the Phillies shouldn't be there.
But they're hot now. I mean, that's the thing. You have to take
and
into
you love
consideration.
the story, and then that team plays the great team, and the great team wins.
Well, I mean, they do have Nola and Wheeler at the top of their rotation, which you would have to think gives them a fighting chance. So overall, you would have to say the Astros are A, probably a better team overall, and B, certainly more experienced in these spots, which not sure how much significance that's going to have in this particular series, but we shall see. If the Phillies, they don't appear to be playing, as we used to say in Brooklyn, a scad. So, and look, are they capable of going into Houston and winning one of the first couple of games? Sure. I mean, they did it before in the playoffs. And Houston is yet to lose a game in the postseason, though. So keep that in mind. Yet to lose a game. So are they due? Which way do you go if you're a degenerate gambler tonight? Nola or Verlander?
Verlander. I think Astros win in 5. I think people hate the Astros so much that they love the story of the Phillies. Look, outside of Harper, I love Gurgles, but Reese Hoskins, like, come on, like, what's their lineup? I know we love Realmuto.
Hoskins has been doing well, though.
I get it.
Go with the hot guy.
It doesn't match up with the Astros. I mean, come on. Like,
you're getting some very good odds. Reese Hoskins is plus 400 to hit a home run in the game today. You get 4-1 that if he hits a home run. What do you think? But would you take a shot with Jose Altuve, who's been in the throes of just an impossible slump? You get 725 plus 725, 725 for 100 if he hits a homer today. Altuve, does he snap out of it? All right, Greek's ready to go, so we're going to take a short break here. Come back with the Greek and all of our degenerate fanfare, including the professor, the big board, the gambling gourmet, Mike Mayo later on, and Mike and I will be out at Wicked Cheesesteaks later on today for the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show, and that is Federal Highway just south of Atlantic. Not Atlantic, of Commercial on the east side, just south of Commercial on the east side. You'll see it in kind of a small strip mall there. Great place, man. The food that comes out of there is just sensational. See, I'm torn between the lobster roll, any of the cheesesteak sandwiches. The pizza was delicious, and the chicken wings are top notch there. They have other stuff too, like chicken parm sandwiches and all kinds of things.
That place was amazing. Everything we've had there is great. They do Brian and his wife, they do an amazing job.
Great job there. I mean, and reasonably priced. All right, we're coming back with the Greek in just a moment here. And don't forget about our friends at Hialeah Park. They're open until 5 a.m. now, Friday and Saturday. Breeders' Cup coming up a week from this Friday, a week from today. So that's going to be a great place in the Champion Simulcasting Room. Great food and drink all over the place. The entertainment quotient there is just absolutely enormous. And you have the poker room. And, of course, all your favorite Vegas-style games in the casino. Rewards program is top-notch. Get a player's card. You'll be richly rewarded and very happy that you became a member of the family there at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with the Greek in a moment. Now that. The time. What has this Santos done? These monumental achievements. What tax break? It's 732.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
We welcome the Greek to the show. Greek, who subjected himself to all kinds of cruel and unusual punishment by coming into our studio yesterday here at 940 Wins.
Anytime. I tell you, best decision I made in 2017 was being on the show with you guys. Even though it was my worst year of my life because I got married, it was still the best decision I ever made.
I'm not sure that that's much of a step up from the bottom. Being on this show.
I'm committed to you guys. I'm more committed to you guys than I am to my marriage next year.
The morning just isn't right without Defo. We now return to the Defo Show.
Well, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunately, but it turned out to be true that the Greek was more committed to the job than the commitment ended up being. I'm not sure it was the Greek, though. That was the culprit here. I think it might have been the other party that didn't have the the same feeling at heart. We welcome to the show. Welcome back to our Degenerate Friday gathering here. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, South Florida Live. And we welcome into the show one of our favorites here, Character.
This man,
the
by
Greek
the way,
joins us here.
I don't know if you
Yes.
saw on the chat, was 3-0 last week. So I just want to make sure that you were aware of that. So he's hot too.
Well, we want to play the hot hand. I wouldn't have cared if the Greek was 0-3. I still
obviously.
enjoy having him on the program, but it's always better if we don't get the derisive commentary like, who is this schmuck? From the people on the chat line, because the guy happened to be like 1-9 on the season. But no, doing very well. Greek, how are you, my friend?
What an intro you guys gave me. Wow. It's like being on the Titanic and they tell you all about it as soon as you come on the next boat. Great intro. Love that intro.
Well, and being on the Titanic.
I love hearing that. I love hearing those tapes from 2017. Wow, 5 years. That was a long time ago. Wow.
Imagine it.
You guys a long time. And,
isn't it sad?
Yeah, long. It goes back even longer than that.
That's the only thing that we were able to take with us from the radio station, and that was only because it was, impossible for the station to erase. But and they would have been happy to just erase all memory of us there. Have you ever been escorted out of a radio station by security, upon a dismissal, Greek, or have you ever been fired in your many years in the business?
They bring me in every day because all the money I bring them. But
Yeah.
escorted out.
Unfortunately, we've had that experience, both of us, Lubie and I. And I mean, the indignity really is that when you walk by the vehicle that had your show's name on it, and they just paint it over, like spray painted with Krylon over, like it happened with Paul and Young Ron when Young Ron got canned. So I go out and I see this guy with a can of Krylon, and I'm thinking, wow. I called security and said, hey, there's somebody putting graffiti on the car. And he said, no, that is security. They're just they're scratching the guy's name. They didn't even bother putting a new sign on. They just scratched off and Ron. And that was it on the company vehicle. It's always ugly. Musk did that yesterday. He had all of his people that were at Twitter, before. And I guess they weren't his people, but the previous regime.
He's imagine playing blackjack against him 3 a.m. in Vegas at the Wynn Casino, and he's sitting right next. And you looking over at him, and he walked into Twitter yesterday, with a sink? He walked in there to take over.
That was great. Yeah, what was he? Was there some symbolism there that I missed? That he was sinking the company? What?
All in.
Oh, good.
He said it was all in. I think you were all in when your check cleared. That's when you were all in.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm sure the investors there were happy that deal finally was consummated. All right, Greek, how you feeling about this week and this week's action, my friend?
A lot of good games. NFL, not so much, but there's a lot of good matchups in college. Definitely like Georgia over the Gators and the over. The over is 56. I would bet Georgia today. I've been going since last week. Last week was an early line of 17. I told a lot of my friends to bet it. Now it's up to 21.5. But I think they blow out the Gators. And I think, I see them getting in the high 40s. Score and the Gators coming up with 17 or 13 points. So I like the over in that game.
All right.
And another blowout, I think, is Michigan against Michigan State. Rivals, but they're 21. Michigan's really playing well. Got a great running game, good defense. I think it's a long day for Michigan State.
Very good. All right. Any other plays on the Greek scorecard today?
And I think Sunday, the Giants' little train falls off. I like Seattle. Geno Smith is playing like Joe Montana. I know they got a couple injuries, but Seattle's a tough place to play. The Giants just keep winning. They keep telling the coach he's going to get free buffet every week, and he keeps winning. I like Seattle.
Very good. Yeah, Seattle laying 3 at home against the Giants. What do you think about the Jets and the Patriots? What's that?
That's such a fugazi line. How are the Patriots giving them points when the Jets are home and they're 5-2?
Yeah, what is
and
that?
The Patriots are 3-4. That makes no sense. I think it's a sucking game. Yeah. I'm not taking it, but it doesn't make any sense to me because you figure the Jets should be 3.
Yeah.
They're home, and they got
or at least pick them. Yeah,
Patriots suck.
Yeah, it is surprising to see that.
Like me on a Saturday night, he doesn't know who to pick.
And they were very unimpressive. I mean, the Patriots, I think, had surprised some people because the people thought they were going to be really bad, and they weren't until last week when they were really bad, and then got into the benching of Mac Jones for Bailey Zappi, the household name that he is, and it does seem surprising they're 3-point favorites over the Jets. Zero respect for the New York Jets and what they've done this year.
Guy. Yeah, I think it's the same quarterback in New England. They just changed jersey. They look exactly the same.
They look exactly.
What do you think about the Dolphins being 3-point favorites over the Lions, who have been decimated in their last 2 games after being close in the first few?
I don't know. I mean, tough game. They should win. I mean, it's a big game for them because then they go to 5-3. If they lose, obviously they're 4-4. I mean, Detroit scares me. A team 1-5. The coach is on the hot seat. Dan Campbell. He's a little bit of a, I don't know. I wouldn't touch the game. Miami should win, but you just don't know. You know what I mean?
If it was a couple of weeks ago, I would have said, hey, Detroit would be a gimme in this game, getting points at home against the Dolphins. But their last couple of games have been very, very indicative of a team that all of a sudden is in total disarray.
I like the over. I would bet the over more than anything. I think Buffalo kills the Packers. And when Aaron Rodgers goes on his podcast and bitches about everybody again on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Brady last night was texting Giselle at halftime, I'm going to come back, take this jinx off me.
Yeah. Do you think that she threatened to move the kids in with her new boyfriend in Brazil? Is that what's got Tom Brady's mind preoccupied to the point where, he doesn't even care if he gets sacked anymore? There's no surprise he set the record yesterday. He'd just as soon be buried into the ground. Do you think Giselle is sending it in, though? Do you have any of your sources in Vegas? Is there any money coming from some Brazilian bank that it looks like it might be the, Giselle Bunchen?
All you hear is that, same story. She wanted them retired. He didn't. He did, then he didn't. And she threatened him that she'd leave. And when he didn't retire, she was like, well, I got to leave. I mean, do I think it's affected him really? No. I just think Tampa has a lot of injuries. But saying he's going through a divorce is a sexier headline.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And they might even end up back together. Who the hell knows? Nobody knows this for sure.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure. That could happen, but I do believe it's the sole root of the demise of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their subpar performance this year. It's all about Giselle. I don't think injuries had anything to do with it. I really don't believe that.
You're crazy.
You know what happens when a woman gets under your skin to the point where it affects you on your job, Greek. I've witnessed this. You fought it off bravely. I mean, the funk that you were in.
I'm not saying that a divorce doesn't affect you. Who wants a divorce?
No.
Like, it's like, who wants to be broke? Nobody wants a divorce. No. I mean, if you're with somebody, it's not something you hope happens.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's why Tampa's losing. The receivers are not dropping passes because it's Giselle.
I'm not so sure I could agree with that either. Yeah, there were definitely times where I wanted a divorce and found it a very favorable circumstance. It didn't matter what it cost.
You blame her for the gas prices. You want to blame her for everything.
No, I didn't really want to blame her. I just didn't want to ever see her again. That was really the key. And it was worth it. I mean, it was the old joke applied. Like, why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. In that case, it was. And I remember the exhilaration. I don't know if you had this experience. When your divorce became final, Greek, did you have to go? Like, one person has to go to the court to kind of like make it official. Both people don't have to show up.
Yeah.
And I found it surprising because they brought like 5 or 6 guys into a judge's chambers. And the judge just looked around the room and said, is anybody opposed to having their marriage, finished here? And everybody's like, yeah, no, we're all in favor of it. And then, the guy looks at everybody, this old judge, he's probably been doing this for years. He looks at everybody in the room and says finally, gentlemen, you're free men. And an exhilarating cheer went up, man. I was never so happy in an elevator in my life as descending the 5th floor of the Broward County Courthouse that day. It's fantastic. I didn't even care that they had put a boot on my car. I'd parked illegally in a handicap spot. And I didn't even care. It's like, hey, take the car. She just took one.
Oh, my God. You are unbelievable. You got the best. You know what? You did it again.
Yes,
that's what's amazing about you.
What's that?
about Defo.
You know, you're like a guy for the loan shark. You go back to Tony again at 5 points. You don't care.
Sure. What's the occasional beating? I mean,
And
nothing.
then you get married again.
It actually started to feel good every now and then. People ask why I do my walk of life with a little knee brace on. I don't want to tell them the real reason, that it was Vito and a Louisville Slugger.
Oh, God.
I just tell them I had arthritis.
I can
That's
tell you
it.
this.
Yeah.
I will never do it again. That I can say.
Okay, married. I said that for years. I
No.
said that. I've
He
said it
said-
twice for years.
He's different than
Never
you.
again. Here I am, hoping that you know.
Having a lot of money. I'm out.
All right. Well, yeah, no, Greek. I think after that hit you pretty hard. I mean that whole situation. So I would recommend that you stay out of it. I really would. It wasn't for you. It just wasn't for you. Some people are just not cut out to be in that
He was fine.
institution, as they
do
say.
it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you were trying. So I mean, I think you got the run into that deal, my friend. You should become a blues guitar player. That'd be it. You could sing about
I'd rather be a barista in Soho.
All right, so the picks again. Where are we going here? We're going over in the Gator game, and they're taking on Georgia.
And he likes Georgia as well.
Seahawks over the Giants, laying 3, and you had
Michigan.
He likes Michigan.
Michigan
A lot.
in a whitewashing of Michigan State at night at the Big House. All right, that sounds good to me, my friend.
Oh, Schembecker.
Greek, we love you. How's it going on 12:30 The Gambler?
And Real Radio as well.
Can't be
And
any
radio.
worse than this. I get beat up every Friday morning. Great way to start my Friday. Talk about my divorce.
There
Oh,
you
my
go.
God.
Well, why do we always bring it up? I don't know what it is. I guess because it's common degenerate fodder.
The three of us have fit in the same club there.
I guess you don't read the writer. It says, don't bring up my divorce.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the theme song is now going to be.
I don't want to talk about it.
Theme song will be, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. All right, we love you, Greek. Good job,
I
my
had a
friend.
dream last week.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I had a dream last week. Oprah wanted to interview me. We're in her backyard. First question she asks me, she looks at me. She goes, Greek, I feel like we're friends. Tell me about Defo.
I'm sure.
Meghan Markle pops out, you know.
Unbelievable.
Could happen, man. I mean, look.
Have a great Friday.
We love you.
All right, very good, my friend. The Greek, ladies and gentlemen. Do we ride him 200? No, it seems to come into the flow of any Greek conversation. The fact that, let's face it, I mean, degenerate gambling does not necessarily equate well with affairs of the heart. Would you say that that's a true, based on the knowledge that you now have of gamblers and degenerates? So,
Well, no, all of you are disasters in relationships, but
yeah.
From what I know of Greeks, he actually tried. Unlike a lot, like he didn't skimp on Valentine's and the anniversary.
No, he fawned all over this woman. He really did.
Care of her. Like he wasn't perfect because no one is, but he wanted it. Unlike you, who was like, yeah, he was trying to make it work.
I'm telling you, every guy celebrated there. When the judge looked around the room, and that was such an odd experience. It was not what I was expecting. Because you're figuring, look, courthouses are kind of like, they have that pedantic stuffiness to them.
It has an eerie feeling.
You got to go through security, and everybody looks at you weird.
Yep.
Lawyers there that you've stiffed. I mean, you can run into anybody. Guys you knew that were criminals as kids that are now judges. That sort of thing.
Exactly.
It's a real eye-opener going to court. But and I'm not comfortable in doctors' offices, waiting to be interviewed for a job, hospitals. I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like waiting rooms in general.
I agree.
And there's a lot of waiting around when you're in courthouse situations, no matter what it is. Even if it's just waiting online, there are only 2 people deep. But somehow, as there were 4 people that could possibly help you in customer service or whatever it is, they all go on a break at the same time.
Always.
And you're sitting there like, I should have brought a sweater. It's cold in here. But the judge looks around the room. There's like 4 or 5 guys in there that are all just, waiting to have their divorce consummated and become official. And he really looks around the room and goes, gentlemen, you're free men.
I thought you all were excited, all of you. No one was upset.
Everybody, like kazoos, those little things are going, those streamers, little pointed party hats. I disagree with the Greek that nobody wants a divorce.
I was like him. He and I took ours hard. You have both times were.
I'm just used to it, man. I have that's where experience might help the Astros. I've been there before.
Nice way
It
to
really
bring
helps in affairs of the heart as well. All right, the professor coming up. This would be great. The professor drawing disparaging commentaries, not disparaging necessarily, but challenging commentaries from many people yesterday.
It was two.
On the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
They're greedy. Just like us with the trivia, you don't want the same people winning every week. Like they got used to winning every week. Well, it's good. You can't win every week. It's bad for business, as they say.
Takes the fun out of it. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, come on.
Although I'm a fan of the super team. You are not. I like it. I like a dominant team. Your Heat went down, by the way, speaking of dominant teams, to Golden State last night. Golden State was 2-2 going in, but a tall assignment for the Miami Heat last night. You could have, if you ever could forgive away a loss, back-to-back on a West Coast trip after just knocking off the previously undefeated Portland Trailblazers. Trailblazers weren't necessarily expected to be good this year, but they got off to a hot start. Heat go in there, decimate the Portland Trailblazers, but then the very next night have to go to San Francisco and take on the Warriors, who are coming off a really bad beating at the hands of the Phoenix Suns. If ever there was a perfect storm of a Golden State victory, it was there. Heat hung in that game. I got to watch a lot of it because I was awakened after falling asleep for an hour by, of all things, Skippy Dog, who knew that I had bought some roast beef at the store. How does he know that? How does he know it's sitting there in the fridge calling his name? Skippy. So he came down, woke me up, and I'm like, okay, good. I don't mind being up because there was action all over the place, right? You had the Heat and Golden State, a late-night affair. And then after that, going into the wee hours of the morning, was that Utah-Washington State game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I took a monetary interest in, a small financial position, and was very happy that Brandon Lang had recommended to us that we bet Washington State. All right, the professor coming up. That's coming up in just a moment here. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Overseas Highway, Key Largo. Great place to go. Think about any kind of relaxation. You immediately have to go right to the top of the list there when it comes to places where you can just unwind. And that is Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And you can do it in style with great food and drink. Tremendous atmosphere, live bands all day, Saturday and Sunday. And it's not like, they bring in some schmanky band that, just got together. I mean, we're talking about top-notch quality music coming right out of the Keys there. Not all Jimmy Buffett and Margaritaville. I mean, a wide variety of stuff being played. Just really, really a pleasant situation all the way around. I loved it down there. I know Lubie did too. The professor had a great time. He was holding court, and you're going to want to go back there many, many times. Once you visit Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Coming back with the professor, the big board, and his college plays. Later on, Mark Lawrence, the ultimate trend handicapper from PlaybookSports.com, and Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet, all straight ahead on a Degenerate Friday here on the Defo Show. Back with more in a moment. Now that 7:53. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? A $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and we welcome to the program, as always, on these Fridays, the professor, ladies and gentlemen. Very studious-looking professor here this morning. How are you, my friend?
Good.
Apparently, I'm studious.
Yeah, you look very serious. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm great.
Okay, all right.
I mean, we are at a point where Tom Brady personally and his team completely suck shit. And as someone said this week, the New England Patriots have now transferred to the high school bully who has. Hold on. I just got a message from Lubie there.
100% accurate.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second here, guys. Yeah.
Try it on Restream. You know that little settings thing that's there?
Yep.
You look good.
Yep. I got it. Hold on.
There you go.
There you go. Now you sound
good.
Good
sound
job.
good.
There we go. Anyway,
there you go.
As I was saying, I am great. Tom Brady and his team completely suck shit. And as was observed to me, the New England Patriots have transformed into the high school bully who shows up to your house 10 years later to deliver you pizza. So, this is the time that we all deserve. And as a cherry on top, Aaron Rodgers is terrible and his team is terrible. So,
Russell
really,
Wilson sucks too.
Russell Wilson is not only, terrible, but he has revealed what a dork he is to the entire world through these Subway commercials. Everything is really working out for me.
Perfect universe. Yeah. No doubt about it. And Giselle is, except Giselle is getting even richer by betting against the Buccaneers every game. Do you find any truth in that?
And Ben must fall.
And Ben and J-Lo are maybe no mas.
Really? Already? I haven't even been following that. I need to keep up with you for my celebrity.
I thought that was the
really,
big board.
That's not actually great, though, because, look, as much as whatever for her, she's ruined for life. As I have said before, she bears the taint of Affleck. So,
might as well stay with him.
She might as well stay with him because she's ruined for all other men at this point.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
Bear the stink of Ben Affleck.
We had, I don't know if you were on this game last night. I didn't even realize it was happening last night. We talked to Brandon Lang yesterday on our podcast, and he really liked Washington State in this game against Utah, which Utah won but failed to cover the spread.
I didn't play the game heavy. I actually did end up taking Utah in a watcher and, a little bit of a heartbreaker. But, good for Brandon Lang. Got to win one once in a while.
Well, he's been doing well on college football.
Good.
Yeah, it's hard to knock his record on college football. The pros, he admits that it hasn't been so great, but slightly over 500.
Oh, no, I wasn't criticizing him. I was saying it was a coin flip of a game, and, that it just worked out that way.
Well, it was a coin flip. If you watched
it, that's the way it went, really to the line.
It's interesting, though, the dynamic of watching a game when you're just only considering point spread and have no regard for who actually wins. Although, maybe a team you're rooting for, you would like them to win. And, still somehow, whatever side you're on, you want to cover that. But, you're actually rooting for negative plays with the team that you should be rooting for. so that the dynamic plays out on the scoreboard, that you'll be able to cover this point spread. Because when the Washington State quarterback got sacked and they had to go for this 42-yard field goal, you were thinking, good.
Oh,
that,
okay.
that covers the point spread, and it makes it unlikely that Utah will
I got
press
it.
too hard, to score once they get the ball back.
Yeah. Although again, I think that was literally a career-long field goal for him at the end of the game situation there. So to be honest, I kind of cringe anytime either team kicks at this point in this season.
I was thinking that about you.
So I missed
kickers.
probably the biggest play of the game, which was a review of a targeting call that ended up going against Washington State at the end of the first half, because as soon as I saw Utah's team come out to kick, I went to the bathroom because I was like, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, they took, I guess, their best defensive player out of the ball game on a targeting thing, which that's a very suspect rule and interpretation. Would you agree? I mean, and maybe the immediate and automatic
Honestly,
ejection
it's one of those
is a
things
little much.
I've tried, and there was another crucial one against Utah late in the game where Washington State was backed up in their own end, and getting ready to punt because it was going to be like 3rd and 25. And the Utah player dropped his head and just drilled the wide receiver on like a little bubble screen, and he got kicked out too. I don't really know what to do with that call. Look, it's a player safety issue, and it's been that way for a long time. So, I guess guys really do need to learn, don't drop your head when you're hitting, but a lot of them do it.
I mean, well, also it seems arbitrary though. Sometimes you'll see a guy and he's going down, and the player that was trying to make the tackle was actually aiming for the guy's midsection and we're going to tackle him around the waist, but somehow,
see, that's
the
not really
bodies
true.
get tangled.
Honestly, that's not really true the way they go. Look, the only time it's just to the head is against a defenseless player. And then the other one, you have to hit him with the crown of your helmet. You have to drop down.
I was going to say, like, if your head's up and you're doing it the form tackle way, even if they drop down, I think they usually get benefit of the doubt on that one. Like, that's
they do. They do. It's the 6 inches right around the crown of your head. And I would say, honestly, this is kind of a thing. We're going to be brutally honest. You should probably not be blaming the refs for calling it. You should probably be blaming roll. You should probably be blaming like 40 years of shit officiating. No, because when you talk about crown and the helmet stuff, spearing has been against the rules for 100 years. We just went for a long time where the officials didn't call it the way they should have, and coaches actually coach players to spear people. And it's been dangerous forever, and we didn't do anything about it forever. So, I mean, realistically, you probably shouldn't be blaming the rule. You should probably be blaming crap refs and dirty coaches who coached and called games that way for a long time and let it go. But I mean, that part of the rule isn't technically a new rule. It's just a different interpretation of spearing.
Roughing the passers are stupid, but not the targeting stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
and as we often say, it's hard to legislate all of this out of the game.
Obviously.
Exactly.
And do it without compromising the game. But, any attempt that's on the side of safety, obviously, you would normally be in favor of. All right, Professor.
I would say this also, like, if you are against, you're like, oh, you're one of those, it used to be a real man's game, and now it's for little girls and sissies.
Take the skirt off,
Usually is, some jerk off who's sitting on his couch saying that, who couldn't run with one of these people or hit with one of these people if your life depended on it. Here's what I'd say to that. If you think that way about the game, then, look at Herschel Walker. Like that, this is what happens when you don't have player safety. So I would prefer there be a little bit of rules in the game as opposed to, Senator Mushbrain from Georgia.
Yes. All right, Professor.
Two bulls were at the fence, and then they went over the fence, and there was a duck, and that's why I should be senator.
Be careful. You're going to get in a jackpot here. Many organizations are already weighing in on the chat line saying, what is this accent? And what is he trying to say?
I do a lousy Georgia accent. I apologize.
We'll leave it at that. All right. What are you looking at on the college slate? Lang gave us all underdogs yesterday, and they all seem like possibilities. The Greek, he likes Michigan to roll over Michigan State. Anything stick out on your
Oh
board there,
boy, I think
Professor?
that's a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna avoid contradicting the Greek play there, although I can't. Was it like 24 and a half? I just ignored that number the first time I saw it. Speaking of little high, we're going to go with the anti-Lubie play and just a head scratcher there. And we're going to pick against Florida State because I don't know how the hell Lubie Seminoles are, and I don't even think Georgia Tech's any good. But I don't know how the hell they're.
You probably haven't researched at all, which you shouldn't have to. Sims has an ankle issue, and if you watch, the guy who was replacement is the guy that ran out of bounds when they were losing with 0.
Yes, I saw the play. It's been made fun of a lot of the internet. You shouldn't still. Your Florida State Seminoles should be laying 24 to anybody. It's not the backup quarterback.
By 40, and Georgia's comparable. They beat Boston College by 40, and Georgia Tech's comparable to Boston College, so that's why.
Okay.
All right, so you're going against it. You're taking the points.
Yes.
You've upset Lubie. I mean, you've triggered a reaction.
I know.
Man. He had nothing to say the entire show until you mentioned that Florida State was going down to the points.
Lost within one score, so, that wasn't getting killed. And Georgia Tech's horrendous. And they don't have their starting quarterback after they're horrendous.
Okay, you're still laying north of 3 touchdowns.
30.
Second one, we're going to keep with the theme, and we're actually going to go with Defo this time, and that is taking Syracuse -2.5 over Notre Dame. Syracuse come off a tough loss last week, but I think this team's impressive, and they're coming back home against the Notre Dame team that is offensively completely incompetent. Again, Cuse -2.5 seems like a pretty easy play at home.
I thought that line was a little short also because Notre Dame has been anything but impressive. And, it's one thing they did spit the bit there against Clemson, which, I mean, you can't imagine that was a double whammy for me because I hate Clemson and Dabo. And, naturally it was nice to see the Cuse actually getting some kind of highlight attention this year as a football entity. And it looked like they were going to win the game. I mean, for the majority of it, they controlled the action and then fell apart, gave up 17 in the fourth quarter, failed to cover the spread. Oh, no, they did cover the spread. And that was one of your plays last week, was it not, Professor?
Yes, it was. And
13
then
and a hook?
again, they I don't know. Well, it was actually 14 and a hook by game.
Oh, yeah?
time.
Wow, that was very generous. Yeah. So that worked out. All right, so you like Syracuse against Notre Dame, and they laying 2.5. You're going to go ahead and take the points with Georgia Tech against Florida State. Anything else?
I am +24, despite the bad quarterback, and I'm not sure why Lubie reacted so violently to that. Perhaps he's got some.
He's
some
been
cash
upset lately.
down.
Look, this is the game FSU should annihilate them. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like Lubie's trying to pay for that new mortgage with
I'm not betting on
some winning.
I'm not betting on it.
Yeah, he bet all of the closing costs. Shirley is unaware of this. But the money they had set aside to cover the closing costs is right now.
That's why he was so worried about that
escrow.
check coming through last night.
Yeah.
I gotta get it down on the.
I gotta get this right to the bank. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Mayo's experiencing some of that now, where Lubie is constantly asking him, "Did any of that money come in?" That's his first
Our
question
last
to
pick
Mayo.
of the week, Defo, San Diego State +9 over Fresno State. Aztecs getting 9 on the road here. Fresno State has not looked good to me at any point this year. I know their quarterback's been hurt. Supposedly coming back this week, we'll see. But even if he does more than a month off, looking at a little rust in San Diego State, it's not pretty. But they're very good at turning other teams over, and they run the football and they don't turn it over themselves. Again, north of a touchdown. I think that's a good formula for them. And look for them to maybe even have a chance to win the game straight up +9.
All right, sounds good. The Professor's College plays for this week, always good to have, and usually you're about due for a long, successful run. I think, Professor. What do you think?
Let's hope so.
Yeah, as you've been You've been battling the early part of the season.
Like I said, keeping the head above water, not much
yeah.
better than that above. Unfortunately.
All right. That's why we love this time of the year because at some point in time it's all going to take off and start racking up some wins. All right, the big board for this week. Are we ready to roll with the Professor's
I guess
big board
we
for
can
this week?
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that is there's a lot of events this week, and apparently Lubie's one of these people.
Yes.
Wants to smart mouth me about laying 3 touchdowns to Georgia Tech. that we need to have some conversations. So it is the big board of step into my office. We need to talk.
Nice.
All right. Very excited to see what this one entails.
The number one group of people need to step into my office. We need to have a conversation. Let's be clear here, Clemens fans. You do not get to rush the field when you win on a last-second field goal over a team you are favored by more than 2 touchdowns. In fact, Clemens, you've been in the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years. You've won 2 national championships in the last 6 years. And you beat freaking Syracuse. You don't get to rush the field in these situations. I don't know what's wrong with you kids.
Yeah.
You don't get to rush the field when you're 2 touchdown favorites. This is not the way this thing works. This is not a big moment. You're supposed to be pissed at Dabo here. You're not supposed to be celebrating this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Premature
Dabo's
celebration.
agent's going to call your school and get a freaking raise out of this because for some reason you morons couldn't step. Honest, I don't know. You're rushing, since it's your favorite fast food restaurant, you're rushing that field the way I rush the bathroom 5 minutes after I eat at Arby's. Like, the hell is going on, Clemson fans? I'm deep, and it wasn't even like this super emotional win. You got up on a series of bad calls, including a roughing the passer, which was maybe the worst I've ever seen along the sidelines there. And then Syracuse came back, and then you kicked the field goal to win. Like this was not an emotional game. This is an anger game.
Yeah. No, it's definitely ugly. And, one of the things that always sticks with me, and I always offer this up as a proposition, whoever's in the car with me, and you pointed this out, the over-under on the number of cars that are in the drive-through line, the waiting line at Arby's, is always set at 1 1/2.
Yes.
And the under is a very favorable play. I would say, the overall trend is under.
As
almost
we have
completely.
said, Defo, Arby's is clearly a cartel money laundering operation because there are never more than 2 people in an Arby's.
Never.
But somehow they can spend more on advertising than Burger King and McDonald's combined. Ving Rhames got to stop acting because of Arby's commercials. He makes so much money voicing over Arby's commercials that he had to stop doing those stupid Mission Impossible movies. He was like, yeah, Tom, I've got more money than your whole stupid Scientology church because of Arby's. So, yeah.
Pretty true. I mean, but anybody, if you're riding by an Arby's, you see one upcoming, you can't always see the drive-through situation. Go under 1 1/2 on number of cars that are online. Yeah, it's usually one guy sitting there at the ordering area there, trying to figure out exactly what it is that they put on those sandwiches.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Clemson, you need to come into my office and talk. Clemson fans storming the field after a win over
storm the field in this situation.
Surprising Syracuse team.
They have power.
Very good.
I feel bad about this one because I've always thought he was probably a pretty nice guy. But number 4, person we need to talk. Frank Thomas came out in a new book this week that Frank Thomas's former teammate Bo Jackson regularly called Frank Thomas a douchebag. Other teammates thought he was, quote, a dickhead and an asshole. I don't know. Like, Frank Thomas to me always seemed like a pretty good dude. But number 1, turns out all his teammates hate him. And number 2, like his whole career now is ads like this one that we're looking at here, where it makes it seem like Frank Thomas's penis only works because of this snake oil he sells through GNC on commercials. I feel like
he could be with Dr. Oz there.
Work out better for Frank Thomas than they have.
Yeah. Doug Flutie also in on an action, but if you notice in the commercial, they always give Thomas the line where he winks at the girl. Who you don't know if you would want to have sex with her anyway. I mean, just looking at her in general, they get like a pretty plain example of a woman, and he says, and she'll like it too.
That's my point. And again, now here we all have the picture where he's holding out the bat like it's clearly supposed to represent his penis.
Yes.
And telling you'll be back on top of your game. See?
Yeah.
So not only will this crap you buy over the internet or through infomercials make you sexually potent, but it will make you sexually dominant as well. Just ask douchebag Frank Thomas, as Bo Jackson would describe it. I just
the one, yeah. I was going to say,
and again, I feel like this is a thing. Number one, it's not even Viagra, so you're not making the huge dollars because you're not making those Pfizer billion-dollar deals. And number two, like, this has got to be an embarrassing commercial that's been running for like 15 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
This guy hasn't been able to get a heart on his own, since he was 20.
Exactly.
Yeah, how old is he? Like, he's not that.
And he's not that old. Like, again, I feel like maybe what we're learning is that Frank Thomas kind of deserves this, apparently, the words of his former teammates.
What was the Viagra knockoff that was sold on the over-the-counter at gas stations? That unfortunately it was a one indiscretion in Jimmy Johnson's career.
Extends, yes.
Extends, yeah. And Jimmy was before he went on Survivor and lost all that weight, which he's maintained, a nice, physique as evidenced by our appearance down there last year. But before he lost all that weight, they squeezed him into like a NASCAR suit. Remember?
Yes,
and
because at the time they had the other Jimmy Johnson doing commercials for them.
Yeah.
The NASCAR driver who was it was like a Jeff Gordon style star at the time.
Right. It looked like they put him in that car, the fire suit with a shoehorn. And then he had to give the obligatory football cross reference there where he says, so use what was it called again? Extends. Use extends whenever you really need to go deep. You're like, Jimmy, my God, what an embarrassment. I don't care what they paid you for that. But you're right about Frank Thomas, man. This is
I mean, at least Jimmy got in and got out on that. Like Frank Thomas,
people do like him. People genuinely
Frank Thomas
like Jimmy.
has now been doing these commercials longer than he played Major League Baseball.
It's true. Yeah. And women stop him in the airport.
There will be a generation of kids who, when you say Frank Thomas, they won't be like, oh, Chicago White Sox. They'll be like, oh, the guy from the penis drug, fake penis drug ads. It's not really a drug. That's what they will know him for.
The two women that stop him in the airport and in front of their husbands asked to see, as if it was like a Mandingo scene, asked to see your schlong. I mean, that's over the top. Also.
Okay, it's sort of personally embarrassing story because, I was a stupid kid. We all kind of get started. Like, there was a point up until like 15 years old where I didn't know Phil Rizzuto played baseball. I thought he was an announcer and did those money store commercials. So when I was, oh my God, the money store. That was what
we have that.
I had no idea that he was a baseball player. I thought he was an announcer who did dumb commercials for bogus loan shark companies. I feel like there's going to be kids who are like 18 years old now who have no idea Frank Thomas played baseball. They just know he sells fake penis drugs.
Yeah. Although he does the usual generic, conversations on those Fox pregame shows.
Does he? Okay. But for all the kids know, they brought him on to talk about players' penises, not about baseball.
Well, and he balances out, with cliches. He uses whatever cliches A-Rod doesn't use. Frank goes ahead and repeats them as. I don't want to say you need an interpreter to understand what Pedro Martinez is saying, but he is the most clear. I guess it's Big Papi is on that one. Yeah, the most clear by far of the
How
three
could
guys.
You miss Big Papi? His head literally fills up the full screen at this point.
And he's got kind of a Mr. T look to him also, in terms of the way he's wearing his hair. All right, that's number 4. We've gotten enough jackpots on this one. Number 3 on the big board.
Everybody hates part of a larger story, and that is Aaron Donald and Jaylen Brown quit Donda Sports, and that's how we learned the president of Donda Sports is Antonio Brown.
That's a combo right there.
So number 1, let's okay.
Seems like intelligent leadership.
I'm trying to avoid this whole Kanye West has turned into a little mini Hitler thing. But again, outside of that, compliments to Aaron Donald and Jaylen Brown for quitting this. But wait a second. You signed with a company where the president was Antonio Brown to be your management team? Like Jaylen Brown, I kind of get it because you're like a 26-year-old dude and you're single. Yeah. Aaron Donald, you have a wife and kids. Like, nobody in your life told you this was a bad decision. What the hell is going on, Aaron Donald? Antonio Brown is the president of the company. Look at the look in his eyes. even if we didn't know his behavior, everything about him reeks of crazy, and he's the more sane one of the duo between him and Kanye.
Was Master P involved, or
Exactly.
Hank Black? Were they involved in this association?
The No Limit sports thing is 10 times more legitimate than this ever is. Are you kidding? Master P made money and everything. Antonio Brown's been retired for a year and he's already broke. Like
the era where you make money.
Kanye West got fired from Adidas and they couldn't get a job, so he went to Skechers. Do you know how bad it would have been?
Well, Pete Rose was endorsing him for a while.
The only people, yes, exactly. The people who endorse Skechers are Pete Rose because they're trying to sell to people like my mom. Can you imagine my mom going into the mall, into the Skechers store to try to replace her walking shoes and finding Yeezys selling for $400? That's as bad a decision as hiring Antonio Brown to be your corporate president. It's a worse decision than hiring these two to be your agent.
It is pretty incredible when you think about it. Antonio Brown at the top of the list of the board of directors. Yeah.
Right.
Jim Brown, I don't know. I mean, he has his issues also, but Antonio, that's utterly ridiculous. I mean, last seen throwing a television set out of the 31st story of some Hallandale condo.
Yes.
That he was renting for a week, and the people by the pool were going, "Hey, Joe, that looks like your TV. We were just watching it a couple of weeks ago." And Antonio Brown's hanging out on the balcony there, wasted out of his mind.
Kanye West got fired from a bank that he had like $12 million in. You know how crazy you have to be to have a bank send you a letter that's like, "Here, Kanye, take your millions and millions of dollars on your bank." That's how little we watch your business. And again, the president of his company is arguably even worse. Like, how do you sign with that group? How do you feel if you're the agent who lost Aaron Donald to go sign with that group?
Yeah. Not exactly Lee Steinberg, I guess, is what you're saying. All right. A good one. Number 3, people that need to come in and talk. You need to sit down and come to my office. That's number 3 on the big board, the professor's big board for this week.
Number 2, and Defo, some people, I take joy in their misery. Some people seem to be robots designed just to annoy me and make me hate my life. And that is number 2, huge headline in the New York Times yesterday, and that is Tom Brady and Ron DeSantis are now texting buddies.
Oh, no.
You kidding
just
me?
When you think that Tom Brady can't do worse than hanging out with Ben Affleck, he goes and becomes texting buddies with Ron DeSantis. And here's what I want to know, Defo.
Yeah.
It's not I'm trying to be venomous about Republican politics or 20 years of cheating. What the hell are these two talking about? Because looking at Ron DeSantis' short, pudgy ass, he ain't eating avocado ice cream. He ain't on the TB12 method and avoiding inflammatories. Based on the way he has packed on the pounds since he took off as governor, he has been eating all the inflammatories he can get his pudgy little fingers on. And don't tell me Tom Brady is interested in Ron DeSantis' issues. Tom Brady doesn't care about gay teachers. Tom Brady, one of his child is with an actress. The other ones are with a supermodel. Tom Brady's children have been around more gay men than Liberace. There is no way Tom Brady cares about Ron DeSantis' crap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand this unholy alliance. Like, what could these two possibly be talking about? Are they just like randomly saying, "What's up, Ron? What are you doing? Hanging out?" Like, I don't get it. I don't.
Yeah.
It seems like somebody planted this strictly to make me hate both of these individuals slightly more than I always do.
Does Tom Brady have a house in Martha's Vineyard, perhaps? Would that be his point of interest with DeSantis? Like, hey, quit sending us these migrant workers? Or not migrants, not workers.
He wants them. What are you talking about? The work is home.
Unbelievable. Yeah. No, that's an odd pairing. No doubt about it. Although, you could see it, and it falls into line with some of the things that you've been saying about Brady all along. Professor. So it just
I mean,
goes
I
further to
know
validate
I've
your
been
point.
trying to avoid this kind of thing on the show because I don't think DeSantis and Tom Brady have a lot of common interests. But I will say DeSantis and a certain supermodel who's very close to Tom Brady, I do think have a notable common interest. And I will not say what that rather obvious common interest
Become
is.
even highly more sensitive, this whole issue, because of the Kanye West stuff that you referenced earlier. Yeah.
Kanye West has that same interest. He may be
Seems
in
like
the
it.
DeSantis Brady texting triumvirate there.
It was impossible to lose that Adidas contract. I mean, they were making $400 billion a day on this kid.
Kanye West may very well be asking Tom Brady and Giselle and DeSantis, like, okay, so how do I build a moat? Like, that we know the Brady household had to keep away a certain type of neighbors for you.
You're talking about your next president there, and if Brady ran, he would probably win also. So
I know that's the insane thing to me. This would actually probably be a winning presidential ticket. I wouldn't actually. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't actually mind that if these two end up the next presidential ticket and the next president and vice president, just because it would piss Donald Trump off so much. Like, I feel like Donald Trump's head would literally explode if not only did DeSantis run against him, but he got Brady to be his VP.
If you saw Donnie Boy,
that would literally kill Trump.
If you saw the shots of Donnie Boy in the news, taking a couple of shots there at Doral as the Saudis invaded, his golf course. And no mention was made about them choking us, at the jugular for oil. Never mind that. It was just, hey, this is great. But he's starting to morph. We said this earlier into the current image of Mickey Rourke. I mean, the skin is really getting to look like Tupperware with Donnie Trump. I'm not sure how much longer he has with us. All right, that's number two, and that's going pretty deep here, Professor. So I can't imagine what number one is on the
I think
Come to
you
My
got a
Office. We
pretty
need
good
to talk.
idea of number one, Defo, and I think it's something you're probably ultimately regretting. But we'll ask it in the form of rap music, and Lubie will know this. Who got his sorry ass benched for a 4th round pick? Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Wow. I thought he was the second coming of Tommy Boy. I really did.
Who?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Let's review this for a second. It was a 1st round pick last year. A certain group of people, including yourself, Defo, the mainstream media, the fake news media, hyped him up. Now he's benched for a 4th round pick.
I think he might have been a 7th round pick.
I'd like to point out, because they keep talking about Bailey Zappi, and they keep mentioning him in Western Kentucky and saying, wow, a guy from Alabama got benched from a guy from Western Kentucky. We'd like to point out that Bailey Zappi was actually a senior transfer to Western Kentucky. Mac Jones got benched for a guy who spent his first 3 years of college football playing at Houston Baptist. And I have not
I've not even heard of that. Wow.
I've not done the full research here, but I'm confident enough in this statement that I'll just go out and issue a fact and say that Mac Jones is the first round draft pick in history to be benched for a player from Houston Baptist. Or at least the first quarterback 1st round pick in history to be benched for a player from Houston Baptist.
It's very humbling. Yes, very humbling
Mac
for me
Jones.
Mac Jones.
That's good. I think he has vital transformation comes about because of his benching, comes out strongly and has a great season the rest of the way. Mac Jones.
Okay, yeah, I think that's likely.
In fact, you might want to put a couple of bucks on the proposition that he wins the MVP in the AFC, and that New England runs the table. What do you think, Professor?
Double down on it.
Belichick will be 2 away from Shula in all-time victories by the end of the season after he wins 3 playoff games.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one. But tell you what, you load up.
That was great.
I'd probably hold back on that. You know me, Professor. Although I was going to make a 4-team college football parlay this week, which would have started. I would have been late to the post. So, shut out because
was it going to be on the Washington Stadium? Because that started at like 10:30. How do you get late for that?
Because I didn't know it was last night. I thought it was like Saturday, that game. Yeah. Who the hell knows? Who can follow this stuff, right? I'm watching the Heat, then all of a sudden I see college football scores pop up. I'm like, wow, that game's going on now? You got to be kidding me. So I tuned in, and it turned out to be kind of interesting. All right, Professor, excellent. As always, I mean, the big board continues to be just a massive creative hit here on the show, and we certainly appreciate your efforts there and all of the production that goes into it as well. Good luck on your plays. Foundry, is that where we're going to find you Saturday, Sunday? Watching
you can usually
football?
find me. Yeah, that's where you'll find me. And then, of course, next door, the Vega Halloween contest is Saturday night, $500 first prize for best costume. So if you got a
now,
concept,
do people just
Defo,
come? Do people just come dressed as they are? Like on Let's Make a Deal, or they actually go to the extent of getting a costume?
I've got a costume.
Oh, you do?
Put it together. It's great.
All right. I'm going to have to check that out. That's Monday night?
No, Saturday night.
Oh, Saturday night.
It's not
Vega
Halloween.
Lounge. Now, is Lubie, what is Lubie going to go? Is it brain surgery?
I don't know.
I'm going to sleep all weekend is what I'm going to do after the last month.
All right. Well,
Luby's
that sounds
going
great.
as Kanye West.
By the way, on the Let's Eat South Florida page on Facebook, Mike Mayo's thing with the Sun Sentinel, the Foundry always rave reviews for that Saturday
Excellent.
and Sunday brunch.
I'm
always rave reviews.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, no, and that's a very critical and discriminating group.
He knows. He knows.
Because they will pound on anybody, man. You make one mistake and you're finished with it. It's incredible.
But again, that's
mentality.
That's why we try to keep the all-you-can-drink mimosas and Bloody Marys cheap, because that makes up for a lot of other mistakes. You can make a couple of mistakes as long as you keep the bottomless mimosa and Bloody Marys cheap.
God forbid you should have a hidden credit card surcharge. Also, that'll kill you on that. Let's Eat South Florida. I mean, they will ruin your business. As soon as that 2% shows up. All right, thanks, Professor. Always a pleasure, my friend. You have a great one. Good luck with all of your plays over the weekend. There, going with Syracuse again. Doesn't that seem a little short, right? Syracuse at home against a hapless Notre Dame.
They haven't been good. Like Notre Dame has not been. Like I guess they won recently, but like,
is it just because Notre Dame is routinely overbet in every ball game?
I think they're assuming Notre Dame will just figure it out, which is not true. That's not the case at all.
No, they've been surprisingly inept and listless. In the times that I've watched them, you're looking almost perplexingly bad, Notre Dame. And the Cuse has been very good. I mean, they had Clemson by the jugular. What's Clemson ranked? 3, 4? Something like that?
They're 4.
4th. All right. I don't think they're that good either. I mean, Clemson.
They're not. They keep. I mean, look, FSU was getting annihilated by them. FSU did everything they could to lose that game. And FSU, if they had recovered an onside kick, which in college is very feasible, would have had a minute and a half to tie the game, to win, because after they had just scored back-to-back touchdowns. So Clemson is not what the ranking is. Syracuse is. Syracuse is legit. They look good. And that was a close game that they were dominating, and I guess it went into a show. I don't know what happened with their offense in the second half. It just sort of went into a show.
Who is more inclined to give away a game than the Baltimore Ravens, who tried their best to do it again last night?
I don't know, man.
I mean, from an impossible position, it still was possible. I mean, well, it can't be possible from impossible, but it still was a potential happening that the Bucs would come back and either tie or win that ball game.
I don't know, but all that stuff about Lamar Jackson doing what Dak did and getting his money. Are you watching? I mean, are you watching Lamar Jackson?
Oh yeah, that was great.
Pass after pass after pass, and it's not like the Bucs defense has played well. He had time. He just doesn't look good at all, to me at least. And we know how I feel about Lamar Jackson, so maybe I'm biased.
You're not a Giant fan, no. Although it was pretty cool when the guy had to sign, he dropped it down there, pay that man his money, pretty much, a Malkovich thing. And Lamar Jackson came back out from the tunnel and handed it to the fan and asked if he had a pen so he could autograph it for him. And he did eventually, like one of the PR guys handed him a marker and he signed the thing and gave it back to the fan. So that was pretty cool.
I think he's a good dude. I just
seems like a decent guy. Yeah.
$300 million.
And Brady, I mean, just humbly coming across to be congratulated on a great career by the other players. You have to think the towel is in.
No, it's done.
Although, though he looks like he's 25 years old. He really does. All right, we're coming back with Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence going to join us here. And PlaybookSports.com, outstanding handicapper. We love talking to Mark. He always has brilliant theories and all kinds of numerology and quantifying information that is just impossible to come up with, and yet always very entertaining and interesting. So we'll get into that with Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com, and then Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, who should be, I don't know if he's going to be grumbling about anything today, but he should be excited because you do have the Breeders' Cup entries already out. And I think he's going to dive in pretty heavily on that. I really do. His football plays have been but handicapping, I do have a great dose of respect for Mike Mayo and his knowledge of horses, right? A sick degenerate when it comes to that sort of thing. All right, back with both of those gentlemen in a moment here on a Degenerate Friday. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:34.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
All right. Tell me you had it, Mark Lawrence. Tell me you had the ultimate parlay. Moneyline parlay, Jets, Bengals. Both teams had to be, 10-1 money line. It hasn't happened since 1973. I think you're probably well aware of that. That two double-digit underdogs have won straight up in the National Football League. So we're talking about 47 years of history that was erased with this double whammy that took place against the chalk. And many people got buried on that. Tell me you had it. Tell me you had a little taste on the money line Jets, Bengals parlay.
I tell you this, that if I had played the Jets and the Bengals on the money line parlay, I would be the lead speaker at a Gamblers Anonymous meeting.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right. As McConaughey would say, and it's appropriate because he was, of course, cast as the Brandon Lang character in the movie Two for the Money. And this gentleman, way ahead of his time. I mean, even ahead of that movie, was doing things that were unprecedented in the gambling genre. And coming up with, qualifying and quantifying stats that are just remarkable. And, of course, very much in vogue today. And always great to see these kind of pioneers, when it comes to philosophical material, as in degenerate trends and things of that nature. Because, to see it come to full circle to fruition where now everybody depends on this kind of numerology. We welcome Mark Lawrence of PlaybookSports.com to the show. Mark, how are you, my friend? Things are heating up. 3-1 last week here on the program. And it looks to me, just perusing the college football slate, especially like the Westminster Kennel Club here. A lot of good-looking dogs, which is right up your alley, right in your wheelhouse here. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing just terrific, Defo. And as you mentioned, things are heating up with these good-looking dogs coming up here. They're especially look like they're heating up for Tom Brady here of late. He looks like a guy that's sitting in a heated bathtub and he's going to boil to death before he knows it.
How were we getting? Oh, was it
Getting
3
ugly.
points last night with the Ravens? I thought that was very generous considering the lousy, listless play of especially the Tampa Bay offense coming into that game.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, in fact, they actually went off as a 2-point favorite. There was a big move to
Yeah.
Tampa in the game from a dog to a favorite. Obviously, the wrong move, and we'll see which happens first. Tom Brady wins a football game, or Giselle and him are single again, one or the other. But it's not looking real good in the Brady household these days.
Have you? I mean, you have gambling connections all over the world, and especially in Las Vegas. Have you heard anything about piles of money mysteriously coming in anonymously from Brazil on any team, including Carolina on the money line that plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Do you think Giselle is out there making score after score that she won't even need any money from the divorce settlement? She just say, you know what, Tommy, I made enough money betting against you this year that. And that would sting, right? I don't care how great you are. That would stay with you to your grave. That your wife, ex, cashed in on the money line on shitty teams
all year long.
while you had the worst season of your
Well,
life. Are you hearing anything
Well,
along those lines of mysterious stream of
No, I'm
cash from
not.
Brazil?
You're breaking the news right now, Defo. It's the first that I've heard.
I think, various investigations. Perhaps we can get Liz Cheney on this. We'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of this one. That's for sure. All right, Mark, you have to be feeling pretty good. 3-1 with the dogs last week. And I hear them barking in the background like they're going into the box at the Hollywood Kennel Club. So what do you have for us this week?
Well, we're going to play a little low ball in college football this week. And when I say low ball, what I mean basically is that we're at the stage of the season now where teams have half of their season behind them. So there's a good portion of statistics or stats, like looking at a racing form where a horse has some races under his belt, and we can analyze what he's done in those performances. And as far as these college football teams are concerned, we can start grading teams on how well they're playing by the yardage they allow. If they allow season low yards against the team's opponents, you have to put them on your radar list. And right now there's a total of 6 teams that have held 4 or more opponents to season low yards. And we're gonna focus it on those dogs, those guys that are doing just that. The first is going to be Kentucky, getting 12 points against Tennessee. Kentucky's playing some really, really good football right now. You got Mark Stoops, their head coach, who's been terrific in his career against undefeated teams. He's gone 15-5 to the spread, 10-1 his last 11 against unbeaten opponents. And you've got Tennessee looking dead ahead to Georgia on deck behind this. This could be a real flat spot for Tennessee. We're going to play Kentucky plus the 12 and see if they don't get out of Knoxville with the money in that game.
And, of course, Tennessee became everybody's darling because they beat Alabama. And, forgotten in that is that despite the 17 penalties and some subpar play, Alabama could have easily won that ball game. So, and they did give up 49 points and nearly more. So, good spot there for Kentucky. Mark Lawrence with the this is the low ball theory. And what's the other one that fits the equation?
It's going to be the Pitt Panthers. We're going to take 3 points against North Carolina in an ACC battle on Saturday. And you look at this Pitt Panther team, Pat Narduzzi, their head coach, they call them nails, and they call them nails for a reason because his defense is as tough as nails. They've held 3 opponents to season low yardage marks thus far this football season. And North Carolina, on the other side of the equation here, they've held, or allowed, I should say, season opponents season highs in 3 of the last 4 football games. Their defense is deteriorating right now, North Carolina's is. And you've got a shot here right now in the fact that they've allowed the season high yards 4 times this year. Only Charlotte and Hawaii have been worse than this North Carolina defense. So we're going to play Pitt plus the 3 in this football game here. Better defenses win good football games, especially taking points. We'll play Pitt plus the 3 against North Carolina.
All right, of course, barking with 2 dogs, Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com on the college slate. Turning our attention to the pros here and some interesting plays. I don't know. Are you on this Lions game? Because we're thinking this is the week that he finally does it, that Dan Campbell eats a live ostrich to motivate his team to go out there and eat up the Miami Dolphins. Are you involved in that game at all? Because that's kind of an interesting one with Detroit playing horribly the last couple of outings surrounding a bye week, and they are getting points at home against a Dolphin team that looked sharp in the beginning of their last ball game against Pittsburgh, but certainly left themselves wide open to be defeated. So, where are you going in the pros, Mark Lawrence? And do you have a thought on that game?
Well, we're going to leave Detroit alone here. I had enough of them last week. We had them as a play last week against. That was
it was rather unfortunate. Yes, that was the one loss. Yeah,
exactly. So we're going to let them go this week. Let them heal up on their own, if you will. But I'm going to look at two what I call double inside-out dogs, and basically what these are teams that you have an underdog who lost the game last week but won the total yards. They're playing a favorite who won the game but lost the total yards. So they kind of won with smoke and mirrors, and the dog lost by way of smoke and mirrors. So we put these combination together. We call them double inside-out dogs. The first is going to be New Orleans taking 1.5 against Las Vegas. And if you look inside these New Orleans numbers this year, they've only won 2 games this season, but they've outgained 5 of their 7 opponents on the field in this total stats. They're playing a lot better than their record indicates. You're going to bring Las Vegas in here. They've allowed season-high yardage in 3 of the last 5 football games. So they're really beginning to leak oil, are the Las Vegas Raiders. You got New Orleans playing this sneaky, under-the-radar good football on the field there. We'll play New Orleans plus the 1.5 and see if they don't take Vegas down on Sunday.
All right, gumbo for everybody on that one. Getting a point at home, which New Orleans brings with it a great atmosphere, not only outside the stadium, but certainly the fans are crazed when they're inside there. So maybe that'll be a motivational point for them. All right, the other play in the pros from Mark Lawrence, playbooksports.com.
The other play, we're going to play Houston plus the 2.5 against Tennessee, and Tennessee's becoming our kryptonite this year, or our Waterloo, trying to knock this team down. They're just about as phony as you can possibly get. A winning football team that's been out-yarded in all 6 football games they played so far has Tennessee. They're leaking oil here, obviously, because of that. And you're taking on a Houston Texan football team that never throws in the towel. I mean, they're not a very good football team, but they always give you everything they've got, which is all you can ask for, especially when you're backing an underdog. And they're in a nice, unique situation where in games after they cough up 35 or more points and they take on a winning team the next game, they're 7-0 to the spread if that winning team comes in off the win here. So we'll play Houston plus the 2.5 against Tennessee and see if they can't finally expose the Titans in this game.
All right, all great stuff, and all dogs once again here, Westminster Kennel Club.
Yes.
To an exponent of 1,000 with Mark Lawrence, playbooksports.com. How can people get more of your stuff, your insight, your information, and all of the preview and review guides and picks that you give out there at playbooksports.com?
Well, everything we do, Defo, is available online at playbooksports.com. We publish 3 weekly newsletters. Our weekly newsletter, which is a great read with write-ups on each and every game. Our midweek alert statistical newsletter. I talk a lot about stats, and we get those from the midweek. And the totals tip sheet, the only over/under totals tip sheet in the nation. You can check it out all online at playbooksports.com.
Outstanding. Mark, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us here on our Degenerate Friday festivities, and always great having you on the show.
Hey, likewise, Mikey, Defo, you guys have a great week. Be well, and I'll catch you next week.
All right, Lawrence.
All right, thanks so much. He should be a judge at Westminster, no? The way that he,
yes, he loves
analyzes dogs.
Loves dogs. Yep.
I have 2 dogs. I'm not as much of a dog lover as Mark Lawrence. I think that's a fair statement, and I love them both. I'll do anything for them, much like you with that, the crazy cat that you have, that Michigan cat. Is he still with the cone on his head? What's going on with that?
We're going today to the doctor, and hopefully they will say take it off because the scar thing seems to be scabbing. So. And I
isn't going
like Lawrence. Lawrence has an affinity for dogs that I've never seen.
Oh my God, he's never picked a favorite ever on the show. 12 years,
like 10,
maybe longer. Pretty incredible, and has a winning record. I think overall, I would say that's probably a fair statement. That his overall record, 12, 15 years, whatever. I was doing it with Mark Lawrence, the handicapping before. I even started with you, Lubie, on 640 and other stations. And it's always great. You guys are fantastic. All right, is the Gambling Gourmet ready? Let's just bring them on here.
We can just go to the one and only.
Let's do it, because we're a little short on time here. And
it's not eating.
Is he wearing a yarmulke, or is that just the lighting? What's going on here?
Lighting.
Is it porn?
There's no commercial?
Nah, we're just going to go right to you because we
All
want to
right.
give you, free reign here.
Oh, he has to go get the food because God
Oh,
forbid
now he's got to go get up and get the food.
ever
Okay.
be not eating.
What is he still cooking something or?
Oh,
there you go, Halloween.
Not creepy on any level.
What are you
Happy
going
Halloween.
as? Are you going as a program director?
And as
ad agency representative.
That is actually still less creepy than the turkey chopped liver sandwich. I actually would rather see this than to eat that freaking sandwich.
Yeah. No, very appropriate here, Mike Mayo.
We can't understand
clown.
it, so take it off. It's not great.
No,
for
can
her.
you hear me? Can you hear me
No,
now?
take it off.
It's a little muffled here. I mean, it does sound like the proverbial verbal ransom note here on the show. But great. Is that what you're going to do on Halloween? You're going to run around like that, or is that your daughter's mask that you borrowed for the occasion? That's a plastic cheapo mask.
Yeah, I got it for $19.99 at the Spirit.
$20 that was.
I can hear it breaking, and it was $20. That's
You got robbed, man. I mean, that was where you could have got a bowl of pho and seltzer for that.
No, that costs $30 now. So
yeah.
this is no. I need to scare the kids on Monday when they show up at my door. They gotta get a little fright for their candy. So
No doubt.
yeah,
Well, why didn't you just get a Ron DeSantis mask? He's done so much for education.
Yeah. Or a Herschel Walker mask.
Yeah.
Oz.
Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz.
Taylor Green.
Oh, it's gonna be
Taylor Green.
It's gonna be a wonderful
That
couple of
Getz
weeks.
Cat from the House.
Are you ready? Do you have your passports? Do you have your foreign citizenship application?
I was looking into beach houses in Costa Rica. I really was.
Yeah.
Now I'm a red-blooded American. I love it here. So I really don't want to go anywhere in my old age. I love all the people here. I've been in South Florida forever. It's really nice traveling around. And, you see how it is, Mike, because you're starting to get some of this celebrity stature where you become highly recognizable, including another groupie showing up at Grandpa's. Was that the case?
I have no idea what's going on anymore. I don't even pay attention. I'm like so.
Lubie said there was some relatively attractive woman that
waiting for you. When I left, this lady was like, "Are you
this
my
past week
at Grandpa's?" Remember, it feels like a week ago. After.
I know you probably don't remember anything because your mind had to be fogged out from eating that liver and turkey sandwich.
My arteries
have not been
clogging.
the same. Yeah, you've been belching on all the shows. I mean, it's just insane.
It really
How
is
are you, Mike Mayo?
I'm doing okay today. I'm
Yeah?
getting ready, geared up for more cholesterol. This time at Wicked Cheesesteaks.
That's going to be
time.
Good.
Yeah, between the.
What are you thinking about today in terms of sampling the food there? Because that pizza was good. The chicken wings were great. And they have a grilled chicken wing thing like I know you enjoy at Shenanigans that I think is extremely good. We didn't try that last time. And the cheesesteak sandwiches.
When I go for these, these great remote shows that we do on the Lunchbox, and by the way, almost happy 1-year anniversary to the Lunchbox.
Coming up on that,
yeah, that's going to be on Tuesday. That's a big milestone, November 1st, and we're going to celebrate by not being on the radio. So it's all good. And
well, it's an evolution, and this is where it's all going. Radio is dead, my friend. Trust me, dead in the water.
No,
Look at what's going on here. We used to have 6 sports talk stations.
Yes.
We've got one with 3 shows on it now, and they're going into the tank.
And they all get riled up by the same things with the same syndicated content. And what fun is that? We want local.
Zero.
So that's what we're doing, and that's why we go around to all these great restaurants and check out the scene. And what's on my plate today? I don't know, Defo. I'm thinking maybe do the chicken steak, the instead of the chicken, the Philly chicken instead of the cheese, instead of the
that's a good option.
Meat.
That's a good call.
Because God knows I need a little bit more white meat in my life as opposed to the red meat. But
I think
I'm
you're
also
fine either way.
I'm also with Lubie. I want to maybe check out some of these mac and cheese, like the lobster mac and cheese.
Lobster mac and cheese, and on Facebook. So I'd love to try it. They're big into it. So.
Yeah. To me, the dish it's one of those things that always worries me because it's a lot of mush with the macaroni and then even the lobster. So you need to have some sort of crunch in there, Defo. What are they going to do for the crunch? Do they put in breadcrumbs, croutons, a little crunchy cheese up top where they get it nice and burnt and crispy or charred?
Do you eat croutons straight out of the bag? I've done that, or even like.
If you notice,
pour a little salad dressing on the croutons and then
I'm not a
crouton
fan.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, as much as I love my carbs and my breads, if you noticed the other night when we were at Funky Biscuit for the great show, the John Papa Gross, I ordered a Caesar salad with my burger as the side instead of fries. Because I didn't
notice that. I would have never noticed that.
All right. Well, I did order
Good for you.
side, and
And
it
you
was
know what? You
nice.
weren't even poaching those sweet potato fries, which were great that I had.
Because there's sometimes I just hit the wall and I say no
Yeah.
more fried food, no more
Good
of
for you.
the potatoes and all the starches. Like I needed some vegetables in my system. I got the Caesar salad, and if you noticed at the end of me eating the Caesar salad, there was nothing but a pile of croutons I left in the bowl because I already had the bun with the hamburger. What more do I need? So it's
You're kind of like my dog with the peas they put in the dog food that I get, which is actually a culinary. And I mean, it should be mentioned on Let's Eat South Florida. Place called Meals for Dogs, and you could go in there and you're tempted to ask for a table for 4 for yourself. It smells great, and they make all natural food for dogs. That obviously they put the necessary supplements in there, but. You could eat it yourself. I mean, when I'm serving a dog, sometimes I want to just take a spoonful.
now
It's
that's
that good.
even worse than the turkey and the liver. How's the pricing though? Because it could be my future.
It's not cheap, but it's worth it. I have to say,
I'll stick with cat food
it's
for
worked
now. Thank you.
miracles because I have 2 rescue dogs that had all kinds of problems, and both of them are living a very long and prosperous lives right now.
Hey, so can we talk about the this great big golf tournament going on this weekend here?
Did you see the shots of Donnie Boy taking a couple of swings?
I haven't seen anything.
They never show with the ball tracker where his shot actually goes. And it
one-
doesn't look like a very good swing. It really doesn't.
He's a hack, and he used to be a halfway decent golfer, but then he got fatter and older, and
Looks
he
terrible.
always cheated like heck. I mean that for people who want a glimpse into the soul of the ex-president, just read the book that Rick Riley, former Sports Illustrated writer, wrote about Trump and his golf game and Trump's involvement in golf. And it's called the name of the book is Commander in Cheat.
We had him on about the book. We had
him on talking about it a few times because we loved it.
No, it was a great book,
anyway,
and Mike Tirico told the story about how the guy just shamelessly drops balls on the green right next to the pin after clearly, sending it into the pond. But
it's called pathological, I believe, that form of lying. Yes.
But meanwhile, what I'd like to see on the live tour, you were talking earlier in the show about all these guys getting these guaranteed paydays and just showing up and getting for me. I think it would be great if it would be like the Squid Games, I don't know if you ever watched that.
No, not a Squid Games guy.
So I think it'd be great if all these they sign up all these golfers, and then next year they have an event actually in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And what happens is, somebody is accused of cheating. They chop off his hand, and then it ends up being like a winner take all. Well, all of them eventually get offed and beheaded and things, and then there's just one winner left that gets the full $400 million.
Believe me, if they didn't really peruse the fine print in those contracts, that may be what it comes to, the Live Tour. It's like a live tour, but you don't live very long. It's not a live tour.
Exactly.
Live and then die tour.
Live and let die. Yeah, it becomes a Bond flick. No, great concept there, right? I mean, you shake a shot on 14, and the next thing you know, somebody comes with a machete and hacks off your left wrist.
That's it. It's that I would watch. That would be some high stakes golf action right there. They never
mind
knew
a $5 Nassau. Yeah, exactly. Right. The old Lee Trevino thing where you don't have the money to pay off, and that's what he was talking about in terms of pressure. All right, very good. Now, are you already excited about the Breeders' Cup, or you've not?
Yeah,
really,
yeah. I started scanning the pre-entries because that's what came out yesterday. I
into
guess they do the actual draw. It's going to be next Friday, a week from today, and Saturday. I guess it's 5 races on Friday. No, wait, I can't even keep track.
I think it was 5 and 9.
5 and 9. I think it's a total of 14. And I guess Friday they call it the Future Stars Showcase, so it's all 2-year-old races.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, no, and I kind of like, there's in the juvenile filly race, it looks pretty good. There's that horse Chop Chop I like, and earned his way in on points, and that's
name for Jorge Chavez, the jockey.
Yeah, I think it was, and so that's one of them. I'm kind of looking at. I'm also looking at, usually I do the food angle, and there's a horse I think in one of the turf races on Friday, Basil Martini. So I always like my Martini horses, and then I think it's Mike Repole and Vinny Viola, I think, are teaming up on 2-year-old that's called Chocolate Gelato, and that's a food angle and a local angle. You got the Panthers owner Vinny Viola with an interest in chocolate gelato. Not that I like these horses
I would
yet. I'm
think
just
that
looking
would
at.
incline you to bet against it because you're not a big fan of the Panthers.
No, but I do like chocolate gelato. So
all right. All right.
But I don't know. No, I mean, I haven't looked at the full form yet. I'm just looking at names. The race I'm most excited about, I think, is on Saturday. It's the and then this one has the great sponsorship. It's the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. I don't know. You ever seen the Big Ass Fan? It's those.
I've seen many of them, man. I used to always be outside the stadium before all Dolphin games.
No, this is like the giant spinning fans that they put on ceilings at some of these
Oh,
big
yeah?
bars
Okay.
and stuff like that. And they actually,
Yeah.
the name of the brand is Big Ass Fans. So they sponsor the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, not the Turf Mile, and it's for 3 and up. And it has my favorite horse of the year, Cyberknife, is entered in that one. I don't know if he's also, I guess, probably entered in the Classic. And if he wants to duck the Flight Line and Life is Good, I don't know what the connections are thinking. But if Cyberknife goes in that Dirt Mile, I might be inclined to plunge heavily. And another hunch play for the Defo show watchers, Slow Down Andy is also pre-entered in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and he
You
came
scored
off
with that one before, right?
Yeah, he had a nice long shot victory. And again, some of the favorites in that race are going to be Gunite from the Asmussen barn and Jack Christopher from Chad Brown. That's a good matchup, and of course the big main event is the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it looks like it looks like it's a match race between the Flight Line and Life is Good. Everybody in the business is just in awe of Flight Line. Says it's a freak of nature, once in a lifetime. When everybody starts talking that way, I usually try to go against, but
bet the other horse. Sure,
the horse looks dominant though, and so we'll see
All
what
right.
happens. We'll be getting into it more next week, and I'm sure we'll be talking to Kate and Brader up there in
I hope
Kentucky.
so. No, that'd be great. All right, so we'll see you Wicked Cheesesteaks, and that's Fort Lauderdale area. Very easy to find, just south of Commercial, east side of Federal Highway. And, it's like one of the first units in this sort of strip shopping mall there. It's not really a mall, but I mean, strip
It's right
area.
across. Yeah, it's right across from
Holy Cross.
Hospital.
Come
Very
on
easy
in,
to
man.
find.
It's great.
And come on out. It's got a nice setup there. Say hi. I'll buy you a seltzer. Come on.
That soda, that Boylan soda, was really good. That I had there. I want to get another one of those. I'm going to grab one of
Brian's
those right
got
away.
that full collection of root beers there. He's got
Very nice.
Forget Baskin Robbins. He's got like 31 flavors of root beer, or 31 brands of root beer. It's crazy.
Really does a nice job. I mean, for a small place, in a mom and pop operation where they're actually in there cooking away, it's fantastic. And lobster ravioli, I think, is what Lubie was looking for. No, lobster mac and cheese.
Cheese. So either of those. I mean, something they do. Lobster is a big thing there. I'd love.
Yeah.
This place just has hit it out of the park.
All right, make sure you put a couple of those on, because Mike comes in as the heavyweight in these situations. And goes, all right, here's what we need. We need a whole pizza. We need 28 wings. That's great.
I'm doing a triple header today, by the way, eating wise. I'm going from Wicked Cheesesteaks, and then we got a big Best of Delray meeting up at Eat Thai, one of my favorite Thai places up in Delray Beach. And then I'm meeting, I think, somebody for dinner at Even Keel at the Keel tonight.
Nice.
So going to be
Three-bagger for you, man.
A lot of good eating. Not so much
Mike
gambling
used
today.
to brag about having sex with 3 women in the same day. Now it's 3 meals at 3 different restaurants. That's getting old, my friend. All right, we got to run. We got to get out of here. Mike Mayo, ladies and gentlemen, the Gambling Gourmet. He's going to be eating his face off. So he better go light there at Wicked Cheesesteaks. I don't think he can do it.
He doesn't know how to go light. Are you kidding me?
That's gonna be fun. All right, you can get the visual on that at 12 o'clock today or thereabouts. We've been hit and miss there with the internet, but it should be good today. We've been there before, so everything was great. We'll see you around 12 o'clock. For Mike Lubitz, thanks everybody. Thanks to all of the people participated on the show. It was a great job by everybody as usual, and we will see you at 12 o'clock with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox as we leave you know that.
Time.
It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.